Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Wonder Series. Question for you. Have you ever wondered what your life would be like if you looked at it from another perspective? What could you learn by looking at other ideas and concepts? Who would you become if you welcome the possibilities and the opportunities and embrace them? And ultimately, how would that allow you to be healthy and happy and flourish in your life? Hi, everyone. I'm Denise Siegel. I am the host here of the Wonder Series, where we offer you the opportunity each week to think outside the box and wonder how you can create that life you've always dreamed of, that life you truly deserve. So here at the Wonder Series, we are sponsored by livinghealthylist.com. And our weekly interviews feature world-class experts in various areas of health, wellness, personal development, and bringing a little bit more fun into life. All who truly inspire us with their insight and their wisdom. Here you will receive tips and strategies, proven strategies that you can use right away. We are here to excite, engage, educate, but most importantly, to empower you to become the person you have always intended to create the healthy, happy, purpose-filled life you have always been dreaming of. It can be yours. It's just a few great decisions away. So a new episode of the Wonder Series is released every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Standard Time, and you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen to your podcast. Hey, if you're there and you like what you hear, please subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. And while you're at it, please share us with your friends as well. So again, I'd like to welcome you to the Wonder Series, where we give you the opportunity to start wondering so you can start living. So today we're going to talk about how to confidently get over your money story. You know, this is about financial resilience, and that means something a little different to everybody. And when it comes down to having a good money story, having a bad money story, whatever it is, we all have something in our past that just comes up. And so today I'm going to be talking with my friend, Susan Axelrod. She's also one of our experts, world-class experts at Living Healthy List. And she's going to talk to us about how we can confidently manage that money story, get over it, and be financially resilient. So, hey, Susan, how are you today?
I'm great, Denise. So happy to be here to speak with you about this very important subject.
So important. So I want you to tell everyone just a little bit about who you are as the confidence coach. Reading a bio is one thing, but hearing it from the person just really, to me, solidifies who you are, what you're passionate about, and why you do what you do.
Thank you. Always happy to share this, certainly. Over the last decade, I transformed my own career of more than 30 years as a fundraiser into a career as a coach. In the early days, I didn't really know very much about life coaching, and what I had heard, I wasn't really enamored of for myself. But over the last decade, as I entered my second half, as I call it, I realized that one of the skills that I brought to my career profession was actually coaching. When I decided to move on from my full-time commitment to that profession, I moved into a career as a coach. And over the last decade, I have been listening to what people have been telling me when I work with them. And that's how I became the confidence coach. When I work with people, they say, I feel so much more confident when I speak with you. And so today I work with individuals. I particularly focus on women in the second half of life, bringing back passion from what might be a dimmed or dull existence after you've been giving in the first half. And I help them especially turn their passion into business ventures and then grow their financial accounts through their businesses. So that's a little of what I do. I work personally one-to-one every single day with clients. I have a full book of coaching clients. I also have a group, and I also teach a business class called Introduction to the Intuitive Business System. And we'll talk about that with regard to finances.
Absolutely wonderful. One of the things you said here, I really, really enjoyed because, obviously we talk to women 50 and over, and essentially that's women in the second half of life. And I think we need to remember that we can live vibrantly and energetically. And you said that, for those women who have been living a dimmed or dulled existence, I love that phrase. It's so much not cleaner, what's the word I'm looking for? It's really incredibly descriptive. A lot of women say, everything's fine, it's okay. And dimmed and diminished or dulled, those words, when you said them, kind of they popped in my mind.
Right. Well, Denise, look at us, you and I, there's nothing dim or dull about us. But in part, that's because we live happy and healthy lives. And that is because we've committed to it. And so in those middle years where you really truly are giving incessantly of yourself the way we're groomed to do from little girls, you're giving, giving, giving. You're depleting inside, but you don't have space and energy to refill in what I call soul connection. And so that literally takes the luster away from your gorgeous, sexy middle years. And so by the time your kids are grown and gone and you have more time and energy in your life, and the finance story, the money story plays a part here, you are feeling more dim and dull. Money often is a reason for this because you've been probably pinching pennies for a long time over the years of all the expenses, $1 million per child, saving for college, spending for college, not spending on yourself. And all of this leads to a real need, which is why I honestly do have a full book of clients for women to feel better and find confidence in their second half.
It's so important because I was talking to a friend recently who said to me, without my husband, I don't know who I would be. I don't know how the house works. I don't know where my finances are. And because she's always taken care of the kids and taken care of the house and done all of those things. And now she's not quite 50, but she'll be 50 in a few years. And she's kind of already going, what do I need to do? Who am I? And I think that's another part. It's how do you confidently step into this if you don't know who you are anymore?
Well, that's another conversation for another time. But today we're talking about confidently getting over your former money story. So you hit some trigger points for me. I opened my mouth to speak. As soon as you said that friend doesn't know the financial picture of her life. It is very, very common. So many of the women I work with do not know anything about their own finances. And that leaves them feeling insecure and actually being insecure. I don't think it's a big secret to say that we are going to see a mass exodus in divorce in the next few years, Denise. I feel very confident saying that. Women are coming to me all the time. Studies are showing this, but those women who are going to find themselves on their own in the second half of life, if they don't get serious about learning their financial picture now, that is not going to go well. So let's get to this, Denise. I'm very intense about this because it's so important. I've had my own money story as well, of course, as we all do. In your introduction, you said that there are pieces that come to us from the way we grew up. And all of that does, the messages that we receive from our families and from the culture in which we grow up impact our money story today. The one tip that I want to give right now before we go any further, for people who are wondering about what to do about this, is look at it. Denise, look at your finances, look at your financial story and face it. Don't hide in shame that you don't know anything. Now, ask me why I'm sharing this with you. right? I
So
know
Susan,
this.
why are you sharing this with us?
I know this story. I know what that feels like. And I work with many of my clients on this. So also I work with women in business, and I work in the business structure financially as well with the budgets. But right now we're really talking to women personally about their personal financial story. Many women, their spending habits, they're ashamed of them. They hide and they lie about it. It's all okay. It's no problem. Our job here today is to encourage you to look at your money. Look at your bank accounts. If you have any investments, access your investment statements, look right at them. Even if you don't really understand them, that's perfectly okay. You'll learn them the more you look at them. Understand what is in your retirement system. If you have any, if you haven't worked, maybe you have an IRA, or understand what your partner's retirement system is. All we're asking you to do today is break through your fear or shame or worry about money and look straight at what you have. So Denise, are you with me so far on this?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think the question, I guess, is if someone's going to look at them and not understand them, maybe there's a conversation that they need to have.
So first of all, look at them, look at them, look at them, because you will understand more than you know. There's a bottom line on your investment statement. You don't have to understand investing to look at the statement and see what's in there, and to look at last quarter's statement and see if it went down or up. Just to begin to get familiar. One of the biggest things, blocks that we have is, in fact, what you just said, which is, well, I don't understand all that. Well, it is absolutely vital for you to be resilient in this area of your life. It doesn't matter if you haven't understood these things in the past. It is time for you to look at it and give yourself permission to feel okay, even if it's uncomfortable. Look right at it. So that's the first thing that I want to say, the first tip today. So Denise, even if you don't understand all of what you're seeing, but you will. Women are not dumb. They just haven't had the time, energy, effort, or need to do this. I'm calling out that need right now. Mm-hmm. The second thing actually speaks to your point, Denise, which is learn. Mm-hmm. My dear friend Debbie helped me. I don't even know. I think this goes back 20 years now, or actually maybe even longer. When she's a little older than I am, and she sat my butt down and did this with me. And then she helped me create a spreadsheet to just begin to see what I had, a simple Excel spreadsheet. Of course, there are apps for this. Of course, there's all kinds of fancy things you can do, but I do everything very simply. Confidence comes from simple techniques that you can understand and use. So you hopefully have a bank account. Maybe you have a checking account and a savings account. Maybe you have multiple savings accounts. Hopefully you have some kind of retirement. It may be an IRA. It may be a 501. Sorry, I was thinking of a nonprofit.
You were thinking fundraising, 501.
Yeah, 1C3, right, a 403B, it might be a 501 plan, whatever it is, there may be a pension plan. You might have your own traditional or Roth IRAs. Denise, I'm not a financial expert, so why am I having this conversation with you? Because I am a confidence coach. And today, we're not speaking to people about their finances through the expert lens. Mm-hmm. We're speaking to people about their money story through the confidence lens. Is that right?
That's absolutely the case. Exactly. If you can't feel confident about your position if you don't know what it is. And like I mentioned to you earlier, I know where our finances, I know our financial situation. It's something that Mark and I actually talk about quite frequently. We didn't always. Yes. I have to say that we didn't always, but as time has gone on and we're closer to quote unquote retirement age, not that he's ever going to retire. He's got too many things going on in his head. But there are things that you need to know, in the second half of life. My husband's 14 years older than me. So these are things that I need to know just for myself,
Realistically,
realistically, I need to know, you know,
right.
it just makes me understand things that I really didn't think were so important when I was in my 30s, because, oh, you know, we're doing other things. But when I actually sat down and really looked at what we were spending, what was coming in, what we were spending, that was kind of oh, hold on a minute. You
That's
know,
eye-opening.
it definitely was eye-opening. Having a credit card, we put everything on one credit card, and there are months where, you know, there's a trip, there's all these things, and the credit card bill has too many zeros at the end.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that was the first thing that was frightening to me, because
So
I personally never had that kind of money before I got married.
yeah, so let's talk about this, because now you bring up something else. It's called debt. Another reason that people live in fear is because of the debt that they have incurred. Now, many women who are divorced find themselves in debt out of necessity, because they didn't get as much money, because they weren't in charge of this, they weren't, you know, on top of things, they were just gave it all away just to get out of the contention. And so their debt is also a very big issue. I want to offer the same tip about debt, and that is this: look right at it. Look right at it. You can't wrap your arms around things and really be resilient about your financial story if you're not familiar with all the details. So, we're talking to women in the second half of life, Denise, generally 50 and over. And just like you say, in the earlier years, you're in your earning years,
Right.
right? You're in your building and growing. But at this time, we do want to be smart about what we have. And I want every listener here to really heed what it is that we're saying, because we want you to thrive in your second half. And it's hard to thrive when you're financially strapped and pinched. So the first thing is look at what you have. Look at what you have, face it, enjoy, and have fun with it. I love that at livinghealthylist.com, fun is a part of everything we do. Everything is okay. Give yourself permission to be okay with whatever it is that you might see, but don't avoid it any longer. The second tip today is speak with someone about it. Now, with me, it was we had a family celebration one year. The same year we got hit with a huge tax bill, because my husband and I were both self-employed, and we hadn't really started doing quarterly savings for the quarterly estimates, tax payments. And that was a huge hit for us that year. And that never happened to me again, because I spoke to my friend about it. She was a safe, trusted source for me to just even vocalize out what had happened. And so many people do live in shame with the debt, or in shame, you know, that they're not on top of it, or that they don't know. I want to encourage people to find a trusted source. And that may be a person in the form of a financial advisor. A financial advisor will work with you to pull together all the pieces of information that you have. And that could take a year, Denise. This could take time. I'm glad that we're having this conversation today. It is a time for new beginnings right now, especially this year. And right now, people, you could be in charge of all of this by the end of this year, whichever year you're listening to this discussion.
Exactly. This is something that it's important for people in the second half of life, but this is also something that's important for younger people to understand, because the sooner you understand your finances, the better and the safer you are moving forward. If you understand things moving forward, like one thing I still don't understand, I don't know how the stock market works. I know up and down, I know that. And so those are things that I pay attention to. I didn't pay attention to that when I was 20 and 30. I didn't have a lot of money in the stock market, but looking back, that doesn't mean that I shouldn't have understood a little bit better what that meant and how that can affect your finances moving forward.
Absolutely, 100%. And I just want to say that if anybody, regardless of their age, would spend just 10% of the time that they realistically spend on media, just 10% of that time, just 10% of the time that you spend scrolling honestly with yourself on social media or watching media, you will change your entire financial trajectory. So also to your point, Denise, about learning about the stock market, I can't think of any more vital education than financial education at this time for every person in existence. The entire paradigm of business is changing, Denise. There's no loyalty by companies to employees or by employees to companies, people, the great resignation and all of that. More people than ever are self-employed. There's special circumstances around that. This is absolutely vital. I cannot say how urgent this is. And again, remember, we're not financial experts here. We are coaches, and I am the confidence coach, and I am urging you to find a small piece of confidence in yourself for your own financial future and your own well future to look at your finances today and speak with somebody about it.
Very important. You mentioned a financial planner. There's also several people that we know within Living Healthy List who are money coaches. So they don't do the financial piece. And I think it's important for people to understand that there's kind of two sides of the coin here. A financial planner is really important when you are trying to put pieces away. A money coach is really important in this early stage. If you're just starting to figure out, okay, I'm going to stare these finances in the face and I'm going to learn what's going on and work on I love this. I heard this yesterday, a money plan instead of the word budget, because the word budget, we all go, ooh, kind of cringe. But technically we all need to be on some kind of a budget or AKA money plan. And I think the sooner we start talking with a money coach, the more confident that we can feel, because we're looking at what we have. We're learning about the different ways that we can move forward in a positive direction with a money plan. And again, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be out having fun and spending money on things that are important. But at the same time, it really is, that learning process to understand, what do you spend your money on? What do you waste your money on?
I just had a client call before our discussion today, and this is a person who runs a global nonprofit. I also work with women in business on what I call the most simple construct of the financial pies. This is how all my tools I developed myself. It's how I became confident. It's how I help my clients be confident, is using simple ideas that are easily able to be applied. And so when you're in business, or in nonprofit business, you want to have multiple streams of income in your income pie. Now, most people who have a job have one big pie, just pie, right? And that's your income. But if you have investments, you do have another slice of your pie, right? Or if you're self-employed like we are, then we have multiple ways that we generate income. So there's a pie for income with slices in it. And there's a pie for expenses with slices in it. Now, how small or big the pie is going to depend on your personal circumstances, and how many slices in the expense pie, which you just addressed, also depends on you, and how big each slice inside the expense pie depends on you. How big is your Amazon slice? This is something I speak with everyone about. Amazon has made it so easy for us to spend money that we will throw our money at them so easily. And so I actually ask people, how big is your Amazon pie slice? There's a lot of different things inside Amazon, of course.
You're talking to the right person on that one.
Right.
I totally agree. It's so easy. And Mark makes fun of me. He says, he always says, like, there's someplace in Amazon world, there's a building with my name on it.
Exactly. And there might, in fact, be one of the largest companies in the world. We keep growing them at our own expense.
Literally.
Literally. And that's why I'm one of these things that, again, for our purpose, the purposes of our discussion today, it's confidently looking at your financial money story and having resilience around it. That's where we're coming from today. So anytime you think about ordering something from Amazon, all the stuff, that's where I really want to invite people to just look at it and talk to someone else about it. Now, one of the things that we know that works are money circles. There are safe small groups of men or women or both or whatever, where we can safely and without embarrassment talk about our money. Money is one of those forbidden topics. Not for me. I talk about it with everyone. And even though I focus generally on working with women in the second half of life, I have several clients under the age of 40. My newest one is 34 years old. And the reason I work with them is partly this, is that I work in a holistic way and I speak about money, I speak about marriage, I speak about sex, I speak about work, I speak about salary negotiation. And all of this is one way to be resilient about your own money story. It's really taking control of your life.
Absolutely. And all of those pieces, that is, we want people to live a confident, vibrant life and, a healthy, happy life. All of those pieces add up to that healthy, happy, vibrant life that we're looking for. We've always wanted it, but now at this second half of life, we have much more freedom to enjoy that. And so having these conversations and being resilient in your money story is that first step today in creating that life.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Denise, I am online in many very, very large women's groups, older women, mature women, and so many are living in financial insecurity. And that's another reason when you asked me to come to have this discussion with you today, there is a confidence factor here. I'm speaking slowly, I'm speaking intentionally with the deepest desire to help people break through the fear about money, the worries about money, the insecurity, anxiety, real deep angst about money so that you can feel more in charge and more in control. Now, with women who own their own businesses, many women, I'm not going to say most, but many women aren't making any money in those businesses. So that's a real slice audience market for me that I've been working with to help people understand how they can actually grow their financial accounts through their business instead of just spending on things for their business. So that applies also for women in the second half of life. Any way, shape, or form, look at your finances. Find a safe and trusted friend or acquaintance or colleague or expert in the form of the coaches, money coaches you spoke of, whom you can speak with. Mm-hmm. And number 3 is learn. Yeah. Break through the overwhelm of never imagining how you could learn about investments or the stock market or whatever. You don't need to know everything, but you do need to know some things. What is your income? What are your expenses? One comes in, one goes out. How big are your pies? If your expense pie is bigger than your income pie, you're in debt, right? And we want to be the other way around. We want to have our income pie be multiple times the size of our expense pie. People are in debt today to the tune of tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars, because they're not looking at the money any longer, Denise. This is a big part of the money story today. When everything is online, you click and pay, click and pay, click and pay, click and pay. You have no idea how much you're spending quite often.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely can see that. It's interesting here at the grocery store in Minnesota, people still write checks, like they will still accept checks. And, whether it's a check or you're handing cash, when back in the day, when you had $100 in your wallet, that's what you had. And you saw it going away. It was depleting. And I think you're right. Nowadays with, credit and the internet.
Apple Pay.
Exactly.
You don't even know how much
take your
something
wallet.
costs or how much is in your bank account or how much, if you're going into overdrive. I mean, it's really, so to your point, it is an exercise that I love to give women in particular, and that is this. Get some cash into your wallet under $100 and go into the market and do your shopping. Into the supermarket and do your shopping and see how much $100 will get you. You're lucky if you have $100 that you can spend on groceries. Many people don't have near that. But definitely coming to conscious awareness of what it is that you're spending, if you start using cash, will make a very big difference.
And I'm going to, as the Eat Real Food person, I'm going to put a little plug in here. If you only have $100 and you need to feed yourself and your family, what are you buying? That would be my question. When I say eat real food, your veggies, your fruits, your whole grains, your beans and legumes, lean meat, everyone will say, oh, protein, protein, protein. You do not need as much protein as they say that you think you do. And with that $100, use it the best way possible. If you're going to spend it on groceries, make those groceries be the items that are going to help you live a healthy, happy life. Doritos do not count. They're not in your $100 budget. So truly, I agree with you, Susan. I think that it would be a great exercise.
Well, we have to call something out then if we're going to have this part of the conversation, Denise, and that is organic food and fruit and vegetables do cost a little bit more. However, if you learn how to cook with this food, for example, if you buy beans and you soak your beans the night before, a bag of beans or a big bag of rice is actually much less expensive than buying processed food.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And just a quick note on organic. If you can't afford organic, don't buy organic. I mean, it's, I'd much rather see people eating vegetables than not. Whether they're organic or not, they still have the nutrition that you need.
I think this is very, very important as a part of the discussion. One of the slices in the expense pie is food. Mm-hmm. And to the point of your new book and the Eat Real Food section in your book, I also want to say it applies both to the money story, to the food story, to the emotional well-being story. We treat ourselves with things that actually kill us. We treat ourselves with things that actually kill us. A bag of Doritos will actually kill you. In many ways, it really will. Between the chemicals, the fat, the salt, don't get me wrong, I love Doritos, but we treat ourselves with things that kill us. So for example, with money, we treat ourselves by buying something. And if we overspend, that can actually kill us because we may go into depression because we don't have enough money. Right? Am I exaggerating, Denise?
No, absolutely not. I mean, it really is. All of these things are connected. I think people very often think of, the buckets. I think I use that. I use that in the book. But when I talk about buckets, I'm talking about different ways of eating. But I think in real life, we have the health bucket, we have the family bucket, we have the relationship bucket, we have the money bucket, the food bucket, and we don't realize that they're actually all connected. It's not one or the other. It's just one big bucket.
Well, that one big bucket will land in depression if money is a concern for you. Money is one of the most important things in our lives. Money will buy you good nutrition. Money will buy you, a gym membership. Money will buy you an opportunity to have a wonderful experience with your family. But there's one thing that we know, not having enough money or worrying about money will create low well-being. Mm-hmm. It is impossible to thrive if you are in worry, concern, or anxiety about money. Now, if you don't care about money and you have just enough and you don't need that much and you're all good, I'm happy, I'm ecstatic for you. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people who incessantly worry about money all the time. And that is why we're having this conversation today. You cannot stand firmly in the confidence zone, as I say, if you're feeling financially insecure. And so look at your money, look at the different things. Now we have to address something else, Denise, something that is absolutely vital here. Having access to even look at your money. So there are many women, or in some cases, it's the opposite. In some cases, the women are in charge of the money and the men are like, here's my paycheck. I don't have anything to do with that. It's traditionally a little bit the other way, but there are plenty of circumstances.
Oh, absolutely. That was my mom and dad. My dad came home, he handed her a paycheck. She went to the bank. She took care of everything. Right.
But whether you're the man or the woman, having the conversation, you addressed this earlier, having the conversation with your partner, if you're in partnership with somebody or marriage, about money is difficult, painful, and way more easily avoided. This is the most common thing. How do I look right at my money if I don't even have access to my accounts? I don't get the statements and I don't even have the passwords. Now we're in another area of confidence, which is relationship discussions, right?
And like I said, everything's connected.
It truly, truly is connected. And that brings us down to an even deeper pain point. If I know that I should be looking at my money, I want to talk about my money, but my husband, I will never have these conversations with me. That is a big problem. I'm sorry to say it truly is, but it's still opportunity that you have. You begin to edify, educate yourself in more general terms, and you figure out ways to communicate about money. It's the most important thing to be discussed and the rarest thing to talk about.
Yep, it is. It can be very emotional, again, connected to all those buckets, but I would agree. This is one of the most important things that you can do, having this conversation. The three things that you talked about: looking at your money story, looking at what you have, learning about money and how it works, because there's a lot more that goes on. I remember one time my nephew said when he got his first paycheck, he's like, wait a minute, I made this much money and they took all of this other money out.
Yes, that's a big one.
So not understanding that as well. And then finally, the third was to connect to somebody who you trust to help you work through the money situation, the money story, and really to help you move forward.
I want to just end with a word on prosperity consciousness and not scarcity consciousness. Scarcity consciousness is a simple thought, not enough. Prosperity consciousness is a simple thought. There is enough. There is enough money. There is enough money. This is an important affirmation for you to consider and to change the narrative in your head from there's never enough, I can never have enough. And this is something that is a spiritual, energetic, mental, and emotional tool that you can use that will help you begin to feel more confident about money.
And with that, thank you, Susan, so much for this conversation. There's so much more we could dig into, but I think this is a great jumping off point. So thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
So everyone, you have been listening to the Wonder Series that is sponsored by livinghealthylist.com. We're here every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Until next time, I leave you with this: start wondering so you can start living. Have a great week, everyone.